Marketing and Finances, and he's going to talk to you for a few minutes now, and I'm sorry we're running a little late.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me, or do you want me to use the microphone? You're good? All right. So thank you for letting me be here. I know you probably don't want to be here, but that's life. So I am the president and CEO of the Milford Bank. I've been in banking for 30 years. Many of you probably know my kids. My son graduated from law 4 years ago, Angel Santiago, and my daughter graduated from law last year, Faith Santiago. The only reason I'm allowed to be here is because they're no longer in school, and then I can do these kinds of things. I'm not above bribing you, so I have gift cards. The two people who ask the best questions get a gift card. So at some point, you'll be asked to ask questions. I wanted to talk to you. This is a similar conversation to what I have with my kids. Before I sent them off to college, we sat down and talked about what are the financial things you need to know. And so the whole purpose of this presentation is for me to talk to you like I would my own children and say, look, there's some things you need to know. Your teachers have taught you a lot about history, math, science, but these are the things that generally are not taught in a classroom. So we're going to talk about the 10 mistakes I want you to avoid for a better financial life and 5 things I want you to think about doing and do right away. The first one is do not open a joint account with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Does everyone in here have their own account right now? Yes? Hopefully. If you don't, come see me. We'll open an account for you. Do not open a joint account with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Okay? There is risk when you put someone else's name on your account. That account belongs to both of you 100%, meaning that either of you can put money in, either of you can take money out, either of you can close the account. So there's plenty of situations that I've seen at the bank where two people open an account together because they're in love. That's my forever. We're always going to be together. We're saving money so we can go on vacation together. And then they break up, and the first person to the bank takes out all the money. And there's nothing you can do about that. The bank does the right thing by giving the person the money. The other person loses out. Okay, so none of us want that scenario to happen. Do not open joint accounts. The second thing that I ask you to do, and this is really a lot for the young men in the room, do not confuse investing with speculating. Crypto is not an investment. How many of you have crypto? Nobody. I have some crypto, but I know it's a gamble. I put a little bit of money into it and I say, well, if it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it doesn't change my life. One of the things that I say to people when they tell me they want to invest in crypto, the first thing I say is explain it to me. If you can't explain to me what crypto is, don't buy it. Right? If you don't know what you're investing in, don't buy it. Sports gambling is not an investment. How many of you guys like to do sports gambling, right? A lot of people are probably doing March Madness right now. That is not an investment. That is not a sure thing. The largest growing addiction in this country today is sports gambling. And it's amongst young men under 35 years old. And every year, the men who are falling into sports addiction are younger and younger. The reason is, it's all you hear on the radio, right? Every ad on the radio is about, oh, we'll give you, you put in $5, we'll match your $20. Or, oh, whatever you lose, we'll give you site credit to match it. Every TV ad, every celebrity is doing some sort of sports gambling ad. Do not gamble more. Ooh. Ouch. So please, take sports gambling seriously. Again, if you have an extra $5 that you're okay with losing, that's one thing. But it is a real addiction that tears apart families. People end up gambling, then they stop paying their debts because they want to gamble more. And by the time it's a real problem, the person has been kicked out of their home. They've lost their job. It's a serious thing. So please take sports gambling really seriously. Don't put what you want on a credit card. $5,000 balance is easy to get to. That's $96 a week. Well, I want pizza on Monday, and I went to the mall and I saw this cute top, and then I wanted to take this girl to the movies, and then this guy I met was really nice. It's easy to spend $96 a week. And when you have a credit card, it's easy to put it on the credit card. However, if you have a $5,000 balance and you only make the minimum monthly payment of $105 a month, it will take you 6 years to pay that off. Was that pizza worth 6 years? Probably not. And you will have paid $2,000 in interest. Was that Subway sandwich worth $2,000 to you? Was that outfit worth an extra $2,000? So you spent $5,000, but you end up paying back $7,000 to the bank. That's why banks always make money, folks. The two places where you cannot lose money are banks and casinos. Banks know how to make money, casinos know how to make money. You can't beat the bank, you can't beat the casino. And I say that as a banker. The odds are in my favor, never yours. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to end up paying me $2,000 more than I let you borrow just because you wanted some pizza. And it sounds stupid, but I'm going to tell you, when you get to college, you're going to start getting credit card offers in the mail. You won't even have a full-time job. You may be getting them now once you turn 18. Credit card companies will send you an offer. Oh, here's a $1,000 credit line. And then after 6 months, oh, we're going to raise your limit to $2,000. After another 6 months, we're going to raise your limit to $2,500. And it just keeps going up and up and up. And because you're saying, well, that's all right, I can afford to pay $100 a month. That's not a big deal. When you do the math and the numbers, it's not in your favor. What is the most common lie told in America today? It is, I have read and agreed to all the terms and conditions. How many of you have pressed that button? Every day, right? Have you ever once read the terms and conditions? No, because it's like 72 pages on my screen that's this big. I'm not reading that nonsense. I need to get on this app. I need to see this TikTok. I need to send this Instagram. I got to check my reels. Who cares what they're saying? What I need you to realize is that there's a lot of things in there that take your rights away. It says, you can't sue us. If you ever get into a dispute, we have to go to arbitration. It says, the most we can ever lose, so for example, the iPhone. One day, just for giggles, just read the conditions when it comes to the financial stuff. I think it's on like page 57 of that 72 agreement. It says, by the way, if your phone ever breaks or we did something to cause your phone to break, the most we're ever going to be liable for is $500. What's an iPhone cost today? How much? $1,000 minimum, I think. So just know, every time you hit that button, you are agreeing to a bunch of things that you are now legally bound by. Doesn't mean you're not going to do it, but be aware that that's what you're doing. Don't assume that free is better. When something is free, you are the product. Does TikTok charge you a monthly fee? No. Does Instagram? Does Reels? Why? Because you're the product. Your eyeballs, your time, your attention is the product. That's just the messenger. So every time you download a free app, be aware that they're doing one of two things. Almost every free app is tracking you, and that's in the agreements you didn't read. Because it's free, they can do that. You agreed to it. So sometimes it's worth paying for the subscription so that you're not being tracked with everything that you do. Do not co-sign any loans. You're young. You probably don't have a lot of that coming, but it happens to a lot of people in college. Again, I see it. They get a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Boyfriend or girlfriend has trash credit. Honey, I need to get a car. Will you co-sign with me? The answer is, oh, heck no. Okay? Whenever you co-sign on a loan for someone else, you are responsible for that loan 100%. okay? This one I speak from experience. I have a brother who's from the shallow end of the gene pool. He needed help to get a car loan. I co-signed. He stopped paying the loan about 2 years into it. Who do you think the bank is going to come after? Are they going to go after the deadbeat without a job? Or are they going to go after the person who's employed? They're coming after me because they go, well, he's got the good credit. Why bother chasing the other person? So if you ever co-sign anything, please know you are 100% responsible for that debt to the bank. The bank always wins. Please don't skip making a plan. This is one of my biggest frustrations with young people. I talk to them and they're like, oh yeah, I got a plan for this, I got a plan for that, I did this, I did that. And then I say, well, how about how you can spend your money? And the answer is always like, what? Most people don't make a budget. You got to have a budget. You got to realize every month, how much money do I have coming in? Because that's the most I should be able to spend. And then how am I going to spend it? So when my son got into college, first couple months went by and I'm looking at the account and I'm like, ruh-roh, we got a problem. So I called him and I said, look, do me a favor. Just go through your last bank statement and make a list of where you spent your money. How much of it was on food and going out to eat? How much of it was on clothes? How much of it was on like stuff you actually need for your dorm room? And as you can guess, the majority of it was food, hanging out with his friends, going out to, he's in Miami, so going out to the clubs, all that other stuff. And it wasn't until he broke it down and looked at it that he was like, damn, I go to Denny's a lot. I'm like, yeah, you do. So please, think about putting a budget together. Be disciplined. Consider 50% of your money should go to stuff you need. I need gas in my car. I need my phone. I need a bunch of other things. 30% should go toward things you want, right? I want that outfit. I want to go to dinner with my friends. And then you got to think about savings. Even if you don't start at 20%, start at 5%. 5% of whatever you make, put it into an account that you can't touch. And then once you're comfortable with that 5%, make it 6, then 7, then 8, and try to get up to 20% savings. Do not assume your credit is okay, even when you're young. So I'm Puerto Rican. I literally have 3 uncles named Jose. Jose Antonio, Jose Luis, and Jose Nestor. That is not a joke, that's true. Because they all had the same address growing up, because they all had the same name growing up, their credit sometimes gets mixed in. A lot of that happens with people who are juniors. You know, oh, me and my dad live in the same house, we both have the same name except junior, senior. Your credit can get mixed up. So what I recommend is every year, go to annualcreditreport.com and pull a copy of your credit report for free. It is free because that's a government agency that's required to provide it to you. It's not free like going to Credit Karma. Has anyone here used Credit Karma? It's free, right? Except they send you ads constantly. That's why it's free, it's because you're the product. So I recommend that to everyone every year. ID theft is also real. We're seeing a lot of people now starting to steal the identification of high schoolers because they know your credit hasn't been messed up. If they can get your information and steal your identity, then they start running up credit in your name. So please check your credit report every year, and good credit makes a difference. If I have a credit score of 760 or above, an average mortgage payment is about $1,200, and over the life of that mortgage, I'm going to pay $181,000 in interest. If my credit score is between 620 and 639, I'm going to pay $86,000 more over the life of that loan than someone with a better credit score. That's why credit really, really matters. It will make your life a lot easier in the long run. It will make getting certain jobs easier. Some people who want to be in law enforcement, they do a credit check if you want to be an FBI agent, because they want to make sure you're not financially compromised. So taking care of your credit is really important. Stop smoking the hopium. There are a lot of online scams, right? You get these, I'm sure you all get the emails. Oh, we're looking for someone to work from home. I get these texts every day. We're going to pay you $300 an hour to work from home. You only have to put in like 2 or 3 hours a week. Does that make any sense? Why would someone pay you that way? We have people who come to the bank all the time being taken advantage of those scams. Romance scams online. Oh, I met the love of my life on Facebook. I've never talked to them live. I've never even talked to them in a chat. It's strictly Facebook messages. It's a scam. Anytime someone wants to give you something for free or is going to send you money for a reason that doesn't make sense, it's a scam. So please, don't fall for it. Don't think, man, it'd be awesome to have this $5,000. I could use that right now. We could all use that right now. But no one gives you money for no reason. Please don't ever assume I got this. Talk it out with someone you trust. A parent, an uncle, a cousin. If you don't have that someone, call me at the bank. And I kid you not. I'm right downtown Milford. You call the bank and say, I want to talk to the president. I will talk to you. You can run stuff by me. Hey, Jorge, how do I handle this? Jorge, I got this crazy. Call me. Right? I'm unbiased. I just want to see people in this community do well. But you need to talk to someone. Seek professional advice when you need it. Ask for help. I'm a big believer that everybody needs a good lawyer, a good accountant, a good doctor, a good banker, and a good therapist. If you have those 5 things in life, you should be all right. If you don't have those 5 things, look for them. They're important. Some of the things you should start doing. Start investing and saving now. The difference between starting when you're 25 and starting when you're 45 is $420,000 difference because time is on your side. Use reward programs. If you're going to have a credit card, use the points. Use loyalty programs. I signed up for every loyalty program there is. Like Chipotle, yeah, give me the free guac, I'll take it. Like everything, sign up for free programs all the time. Get the free stuff. And use your debit card points. Your bank should offer you points for using your debit card. If it doesn't, find a new bank. You collect those points and you can cash them in for free stuff. So obviously I bank where I work. At the end of every year, I realize I buy a lot of stuff on my debit card and the bank gives me points. And at the end of that, I buy myself gift cards at the end of the year. Ask a lot of questions, seek out professional help. And by the way, who cares about what other people think? Have you met other people? They're horrible. And then do comparison shopping. Look online. If all of you have car insurance, shop your car insurance every year. Get multiple quotes. And then when you get into serious relationships, think about money. Their credit becomes your credit. Their debt becomes your debt. Make sure you agree on things financially. One of the most biggest stressors in any relationship is money. And you want to make sure you're on the same page. Some resources, and I will take any questions if anyone has them. Yes? I can't hear you, but I'm old and deaf, so. How can what? How can young people start building good credit responsibly? What kind of gift card would you like? I got Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Chipotle. How do you start building credit responsibly as a young person? First of all, talk to your parents. With my kids, what I did is I opened a joint credit card with them and me on it. So that way I can monitor what my daughter's doing, what my son is doing. And that's the first bit that you do. If your parents have bad credit and can't help you, you can go to Capital One, and they'll give you what's called a secured credit card. You give them $300, they put it in the savings account for you, and they give you a credit card for $300. So you're starting savings and your credit at the same time. Okay?
What do you think about opening a Roth IRA account when you're 18?
Roth IRAs are great if you have the money. So I opened them for my kids when they were even younger than 18 because they had little side hustles. It's fantastic. As long as you can afford not to touch it, it's great.
How do you get bad credit?
How do you get bad credit? Not paying your bills on time is the number one thing that gives you bad credit. If you don't pay your bills, you're in trouble, okay? Second is having too much credit. So if you only make $10,000 a year, but you have $10,000 in credit cards, that's too much for you, so your score goes down. How do you take out a personal loan? You can do it online or at your local bank. You just go in and apply. It's usually a one-page application, and it's usually between $3,000 and $5,000 max that they'll give you. You just go to the bank and fill out the application, or do it online if your bank does that.
All right, can you all in the back hear me without the microphone, or do I need the microphone? You got me? Okay. So, good morning. My name is Toby Bird. I am originally from New Jersey, West Orange. Following high school, I went to the University of New Haven, studied criminal justice, played football there, graduated, became a member of the Hartford Police Department, did that for 4 years, left Hartford, joined the DEA, was a federal agent for 23 years, a special agent, retired from the DEA, came back to UNH as an advisor, where I currently am working, and I advise the criminal justice, forensic science, and athletic department. I advise those students on career readiness, preparing them for internships, finding them internships, helping them find jobs, and helping land them in careers. Okay, so that's why I'm here to discuss interviewing techniques with you all. Okay? So, first and foremost, what are employers looking for? What do you think? Seton Hall, stand up. What do you think they're looking for? What is it? Good employee, but like what? What characteristics of an employee? Hardworking, excellent. All right, now listen, I'm gonna let you guys know this is interactive. So if you're on your phones and not paying attention when I ask a question, you're gonna look silly. So pay attention, all right? What do you think employers are looking for? Qualities and characteristics in a good employee. Charismatic? Okay. Long Beach, what do you think? Punctual, okay. So, this is what employers are looking for. They call them core competencies. They're also known as soft skills. The way we came up with this list is we went to all the Fortune 500 companies in the world. Those are the billionaire, trillionaire type companies in the world. And we asked them, what are you looking for? What skills do you have? What are your personal soft skills? And what are you looking for in an ideal employee? And this is the list that they came up with. Leadership, critical thinking, communication, resilience, teamwork, global and cultural awareness. This is what employers are looking for. All right, now some of you have these skills right now. Others will have to develop them in college over 4 years. And if you're not going to college, you're going to have to develop these skills the old-fashioned way, and that's through the workforce. Okay? But this is what they're looking for. We have any athletes in here? What do you play? Soccer? Basketball and what? Okay, so soccer. Do you have to have leadership to play soccer? Are you playing in college, or are you just done after high school? Where are you going to college? Eastern? Do you have to have leadership to play soccer? Do you have to think critically? You know what that means? You guys run plays and stuff like that in soccer, right? Okay, so you have to be able to adjust your plays based upon the way the defense is playing you. Critical thinking. Do you have to communicate in soccer? Resilience. You have to be resilient. You know what that means? You go to tournaments, you play how many games? Some tournaments when you were younger, how many games did you play in one day? 4 games. You have to have a certain level of resilience to wake up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and then go play 4 complete soccer games, okay? My point is, a lot of you already have some of these skills. You just need to build on them and refine them, especially if you've gained these skills through athletics. Some of you've already worked and got some of these skills. Some of you may be in like Eagle Scouts or something like that where you pick up some of these skills. It's out there. You have to make sure that when you leave your interview, that if you have these skills, the employer knows all about it by the time you walk out of that interview. So the first thing you're going to do before an interview is you're going to prepare. Now look, has anyone had an interview for college? Did anyone have to do that yet? Okay, what school? Western? Okay. So you're going to have to research the agency or organization before you go into the interview. You want to know what you're dealing with. Like applying for jobs right now has been so simplified that we have kids that apply for 50, 100 jobs in a day because all you're doing is auto-populating information and hitting send. So then they actually get called in for an interview and they don't even know what position they're going in the interview for. And so they're baffled when they're being asked questions about this specific job because they just applied to so many jobs and didn't do any research or homework on the place that they're looking to work or the position that they're looking to get. Review your resume and your qualifications. Find out beforehand how your resume and qualifications align with the opportunity that you're looking for. Have examples. Practice answering the common questions. We're going to touch on this right now. In a second. All right. So the first thing, your attire. Make sure you want to come in conservative. All right. I am covered in tattoos, but I would never go to a job interview where you would be able to see that. Okay. If you've got piercings, you've got things like that, I know it's personal expression and everything else. That's fine. At the end of the day, you can do what you want to do. I'm letting you know the reality of it is if you're sitting in front of an interview panel and there's 3 people, someone may not think that that's a good look. Someone may not think that you should be representing their company or their business. That's just the reality of it. You can go in it however you want. You can do whatever you want to do, but just be aware of that. My advice is to always dial things back, be conservative. You want to show up on day 1 after you're already hired and put your gauges and all that stuff in, that's fine. But for the interview, let's get through the interview. Let's get the job first. That's the reality. You want to make sure that you're wearing a basic conservative suit, dark suit, white shirt, solid tie, haircut, shaved, neat facial hair, trimmed nails, cleaned iron clothes, no excessive jewelry. And like I said, make sure you're covering up any types of tattoos and to the best that you can. Here's an example. The females, you can go skirt, trousers, shoes. Now this is mainly for the college kids that are looking to enter the workforce, but this is something that you're going to need for down the road. So winning the interview, we want to make sure we're answering questions honestly and directly, give examples of skills and experience, be confident but not arrogant. I think you said that, right? Calm and controlled posture, make eye contact with interviewers, smile, and be concise, meaning you don't want to ramble on and on and on when you're giving an answer. So the first thing they're going to ask you when you walk in for the interview is tell me about yourself. This is going to be a 30-second pitch. Okay, so where we get this from, who is, right here, who's the owner of Facebook? No, right here. Yeah. Zuckerberg, okay? So imagine you're working at Facebook. You work in the mailroom and you're pushing your cart and you're delivering mail all throughout the building. You're in the elevator with your cart, elevator opens, Zuckerberg walks in. This is the guy, the billionaire that owns the company. And he asks you, tell me about yourself. You've got between the time that door closes to the time he gets to his floor and it opens up and he walks off to let him know everything about you, meaning your past, present, and future. So that's how you have to line up when you give this explanation. All right? Stand up. Tell me about yourself.
I'm a senior Jonathan Law. I play football and lacrosse. I work in landscaping and like to play golf in my free time.
Okay. All right, have a seat. Tell me about yourself. Yeah, the comfortable one. Tell me about yourself.
I'm a senior at Jonathan.
Stand up, stand up.
I'm a senior at Jonathan Law. I'm going to Syracuse University in the fall.
To study what?
Broadcast digital journalism.
Okay.
I play basketball,
Okay.
I've managed the girls' tennis team this year.
Okay. All right, good. Have a seat. So if you all remember back to the beginning of my presentation, I actually did it on purpose. When I told you a little bit about my background, I started off, my name is Toby Bird. I'm originally from West Orange, New Jersey. Following high school, I went to University of New Haven. I went through my whole background step by step. And what you're trying to do is, you're trying to get all that pertinent information to the person, but you're also trying to elicit feedback from them. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a rapport with that employer to soften them up for the interview. So when she says something like, oh, what'd you say, you played softball and managed the tennis team? I may, if my kid plays tennis, I may ask some follow-up questions regarding, oh, how long you been doing that? And this takes our focus from the interview and it builds that personal connection with the employer, which is what we want. We want to break down that wall and make it personal. We want them to like us because we're trying to get that job. All right? So look, the beauty of this is you can actually write this down and just memorize it. We have tons of kids at UNH that have to do that. And over time, as you evolve and as your goals change, you'll just have to update it. But this is something that you're always going to need. You're always going to have this in your back pocket to navigate and to make connections and to network. Okay? So something definitely you guys should have to practice. You have to practice it. The next step is, when you're in the interview, they're going to ask you questions. Behavioral interview questions is what they're called, where they're trying to find out how you react in certain situations. So when there's typically a job that's being advertised, everyone who qualifies for that job, meaning they meet the basic standard of academics, experience, or whatever, you're all going to walk in at the same level. These questions help the employer determine who's separated from that baseline level. And it's all based upon those competencies, that list that I showed you earlier. You have to show them that you have those skills and explain to them why you have those skills. So for example, Vintage, what's your name? Right here, stand up. Yeah, stand up. What's your name?
Dana?
Tell me about yourself.
Should I use the password?
Yeah, use.
So I grew up in Pakistan, and then I moved here when I was 12 to Connecticut, and now I'm a senior in high school, interested in international relations, and that wasn't good.
Okay. All right, so no, I'm not done. Stand up. We have to ask a question. Can you tell me about a time you worked on a group project and one or more people within that group seemed uninterested or didn't want anything to do with the project and were uncooperative? Okay. All right, have a seat. So with these behavioral interview questions, very, very important, remember this, you're going to need this as well. They want you to answer these questions in a specific format. They have 4 steps that they recommend answering these questions in, but I've broken it down into 3. So when they're asking you the behavioral interview questions, the first thing you're going to do is explain the situation. You're going to explain the steps you took to rectify the situation, and then you're going to explain the outcome. So explain the situation, what you did to resolve it, and then the outcome. That's the 3-step method. So for the example I gave you, you were assigned a group project in high school. It was 5 people assigned to the group. 2 people realized that they didn't want anything to do with it, and they weren't cooperative. So that left 3 of us to do the whole project. We tried to encourage the other 2, tried to bring them in the group. We tried to do some type of bonding activities to make them feel more welcomed. It didn't work. So what happened is the 3 of you decided you needed to finish the project. You finished the project, you turned it in, you let your professor know, and at the end of it, you got an A. That's the way you have to structure your answer. Does that make sense? Okay? Situation, what you did to resolve it, and what was the outcome. So, right here at the end, stand up. Gray shirt, yep. What's your name? Okay, can you tell me about a time when you worked on a complex project? Okay, and what was the result? How did it end? Okay, have a seat. So he did a very good job of explaining the situation, explaining the tasks that were involved, but you didn't stick the landing. I had to ask you a prompt question to get the final outcome out of you, okay? Good, but you have to finish it, all right? And usually you'll be in an interview, they'll probably ask you 5 or 6 of these questions, okay? All right, we've done that. So, as you are leaving the interview, you're always going to have 2 questions in your back pocket. They're going to ask you if you have any questions. You're never going to say no to that. You're going to have 2 questions ahead of time that you're ready to ask. Now, you may not need to use those 2 questions because something may come up during the interview that you also have questions about, and that would be the appropriate time to ask those questions. But definitely have 2 in your pocket just in case. You're going to shake your interviewer's hands. You want to try to get their names as well, because as soon as you're done with that interview, you're going to leave, you're going to get out to your car, and you're going to send a thank you email. Yes, my name is Toby. I just finished interviewing with you. I'm the young man from New Jersey. I just want to thank you for your time. I'm very excited to see whether or not I'll be able to get an opportunity with your company. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me at this email or direct to my personal cell phone. That's it. And the reason you want to try to remember names is because if you're going through a company directory, you want to make sure that you're tagging and sending emails to everyone. You can send one email to everyone, but make sure that you send some type of correspondence after you're done, and the best time to do it is immediate so that they still remember you when you're walking out. So thank you, email, follow-up letter, okay? Now, tips and suggestions. Delete, erase, scrub, or lock down your social media. I will say it again. Delete, erase, scrub, or lock down your social media. Employers, look at it. Prior to me retiring from DEA, I was assigned to Human Resources, and I was the chair of the National Hiring Panel. And we would do this year-round, every day. All we were doing was interviewing people. And I'm sitting down with a young man. We have your social media up on our laptops while we're interviewing you. And the young man's telling us how this was his dream job. He's always wanted to do this. He was born for this. And we have an 8 o'clock interview we're sitting in. And I'm looking at him doing shots of tequila at 1 o'clock in the morning on his Instagram. Okay, so how important is this job to you if you're out doing shots at 1 o'clock in the morning for 8 a.m. interview? Okay? Lock it down. An employer doesn't want to see you TikTok dancing in the bathroom in somebody else's uniform while you're supposed to be at work. You'll automatically be disqualified and taken off the list. All right? Lock it down. I'm sorry, it sounds old, it sounds mean, but that's the reality of what you all are challenged with right now with the technology. Know the agency's drug and alcohol policy. This is really in respect to my criminal justice major at UNH. They get called in for an interview goes well, they're headed to their car. Oh, wait a minute, come on over here, let's go ahead and take this drug test before you leave. Oh, I wasn't ready for that. Know the policy, know what you're dealing with when you're applying for these jobs, get directions to the office, and make sure you're arriving early. Make sure you're arriving early, okay? Are there any questions? Nobody. Okay. All right, that's it. Good luck. Anybody going to UNH? What are you going to study? Perfect. Anybody else? Computer science? Okay. Computer science, that is an industry that's going like this. You're gonna walk out of the door at 6 figures, okay? Very nice salary, stay with it, okay?
Once again, guys, if you have any questions, we'll have the QR code that you can go directly to our speakers and ask questions that way as well. Thank you, Mr. Bird. Okay, guys, if you could give your attention to our next speaker. She's from the Milford Rape Crisis Center. Her name's Camden, and she's going to talk to you a little bit about healthy relationships and consent.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Everybody got their snacks? You all snacked up? So my name is Camden Morgillo. You can call me Cam or Camden. I come from the Rape Crisis Center of Milford. I've been invited today to Jonathan Law to talk to you about prom, because I know you've been getting like a lot of different topics. So you've been hearing about UNH, college, jobs. You got some Milford Bank, making sure you don't max out your credit cards, right? So I'm here to talk to you about a little review of consent. We're going to talk about some expectations in regards to prom. Prom's coming up, right? May? Anthony's? Let's go. So we're going to talk about some expectations about that night. And we're just letting you know that we are here anytime that you have questions, you need more support, or you need resources. We are here to answer those questions and provide you with support regardless of the situation. Sound good? So, prom. Prom is sometimes referred to as like the big night, right? Even the talk about it. Who are you going to ask? What are you wearing? How are you getting there? What are we doing afterwards? Oftentimes in movies and TV shows, there's this like pressure that's put on anytime that we talk about prom. There are like different expectations, what should happen, what should go down, right? And this could create that weird feeling of like, oh my God, this is going to be such a huge night. I'm not sure if I'm ready. You might even be talking with your parents or family members about prom, and they're like pulling out pictures and like, oh my goodness, prom is once in a lifetime. This is going to be the greatest night of your life. That's a lot. So I'm here to tell you that just because it's prom season, that doesn't change relationship expectations. Every single person has a voice. Every single person has comfort levels, and those have to be respected at all times. Doesn't matter that it's prom season, doesn't matter if it feels like there's this big event coming, or even talking about like the end of your senior year, feeling like things are coming to a boil, all of this stuff is about to go down. But I want you to know that it's important that your voices, your comfort levels are respected throughout these next couple months of your life, as well as the rest of your life too, but especially around this time. So I want to talk to you about what makes a relationship healthy. This could be an intimate relationship or even a friendship. But what's a healthy quality in a relationship? A green flag. What would you guys say? Communication. That's the first one that I've gotten every presentation. Yes. Good communication. That is absolutely essential. What else? Loyalty. Yes. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. What else? Trust. Love it. Communication, trust, loyalty, absolutely. How about if your partner or your friend respects you as an individual, lets you do things on your own, right? You don't feel like you always have to spend every waking moment with this person. You don't always have to be replying to their text within 2 minutes or they're going to start to bug out, right? So different relationship qualities that are healthy or unhealthy, we're going to play a little game. I'm going to read the statement out loud, or you could read it to yourselves, and I want you to tell me, is that healthy or unhealthy? Ready? First one, you constantly feel nervous or anxious about what your partner thinks of you. Is that healthy or unhealthy? Unhealthy. Good job, yeah. If you feel like, oh, is this person mad at me? If I tell them this, how are they going to react? What are they thinking right now? They seem like they're in a bad mood. Did I do something wrong? Like, these are all red flags if you're feeling like you're constantly walking on eggshells around this person. Again, not just an intimate partner, but a friendship as well. I'm talking about relationships in general here. So you're right, that is unhealthy. Next one, you can trust each other. You feel safe talking to this person. Yeah, that's healthy, right? You feel safe physically, mentally, emotionally around this person. You're able to say what you feel, and they're going to respect that, right? It's not going to turn into this big blowout or this big fight because you shared what you're feeling or what you're thinking. One person constantly makes all the decisions without checking in with that other person. This one kind of stumps people sometimes, a little tricky, right? So sometimes in a relationship or in a friendship, there is one person that makes a lot of the decisions. Maybe one person's indecisive and they're like, I really don't care. Where do you want to go out to eat? I don't know, right? What do you want to do this weekend? I don't know. And that person may end up making a decision. But it's important that you're still checking in and talking about in relation to prom, right? Who's making all those decisions? Who's deciding what table you're going to sit at? Who's deciding what color you're wearing? Who's deciding where you're going to go after? How are you getting there? Like all these decisions that are being made, making sure that you check in with that partner or you check in with that friend to make sure that they're okay with wearing that color. They're okay with taking that form of transportation to prom. They're okay with sitting at that table with that group of people. So making sure that you check in and you ask those questions. You could tell your partner no, even if they might be disappointed. Healthy or unhealthy? Healthy, yeah. So let's be honest. In friendships and relationships, you're not always going to agree with the person that you're dating or the person that you're friends with, right? Not everything is perfect. Not every relationship is perfect. There are disagreements. But if you're able to communicate, no, I don't want to do that. Even though your partner might be upset, like, oh man, I was really looking forward to doing that with you, but I understand and I respect your no. That's what's important. You're not going to agree on every single thing. But if you're able to communicate, no, I don't want to do that, versus feeling like, ugh, I guess I'll just do it because I don't want to get them mad. I don't want to make them upset. Then that's where we're teetering with unhealthy. Last one. One person tries to make the other person feel guilty for not spending enough time with them or talking with them the whole night. Healthy or unhealthy? Unhealthy. Good, I saw thumbs down. Yeah, that one's easy, right? So your partner, your friend, they have to let you talk with other people. They can't isolate you, control you. Why aren't you spending time with me? This is such a big night. You're my date. Why aren't you with me all the time? Why aren't you talking to me all the time? Those are red flags. You should be able to make your own decisions, talk with who you want freely. That other person has to respect that. You know, as soon as we teeter into like jealousy or possessiveness or controlling or manipulative behavior, that we reach out and we process, we discuss some of those red flags with someone. So signs of a healthy relationship, you guys know. Your partner respects you as an individual. They respect you and let you do things that you enjoy doing. They encourage you to do those things. Oh, you want to sign up for that class? Go for it. I think that's awesome. You should do that, right? Even if maybe it's not something that they're into, they encourage you to do the things that you like doing. They want you to be a better person. They communicate with you. They listen to you. You trust this person and they trust you. This person respects your boundaries, whatever those boundaries may be. Physical, mental, emotional, and also sexual, right? So if you draw a line, that person respects that line. They give you their give you your space. If they're constantly pushing that boundary, then that's not okay. Did I hit everything? Yeah. So unhealthy relationship, basically opposite of everything that I just said, right? So your partner is distrustful, not honest with you. Maybe you feel like insecure around this person because they don't treat you with respect. Maybe this person makes fun of you, humiliates you in front of your friends or online. They isolate you, try to force you to share your location, share your passwords. Let me go through your phone, let me see your texts, right? So anytime that someone is starting to invade in your personal space, expecting you, there's a difference between like text me when you get home and share your location with me, right? There's concern and then there's control. So it's figuring out what you're comfortable sharing and knowing that people don't need to have access to your location at all times, even if they're your best friends. You don't have, that's not an obligation for you to share that at all times with them. People don't need to know where you are at all times. That could be a red flag. And if someone's putting that pressure on you, then maybe considering having that conversation with them. So a little review of consent. This isn't your first time hearing about consent. We come and talk to you about consent in 6th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade, right? Consent is permission. Permission to do something, permission to be allowed in one's personal space, permission for any type of intimate or sexual activity with a partner. Consent is active, voluntary, enthusiastic, and sober. Yeah, sure, I'm down, absolutely, right? Anytime that we're getting, fine, yeah. Or, all right, just stop asking, fine, yes. Or, okay. That's not consent. Anytime that someone is not sure, they feel pressured. Well, what if I say no? What if this person won't like me? What if this person will talk badly about me to their friends? Right? So anytime that that pressure exists, then a person is not freely giving their consent in that situation. People have to know what they're agreeing to, right? So someone's not saying yes to something, like, hey, do you want to hook up later? Yeah, sure, I'm down. Well, what does hooking up mean? Does that mean like just making out? Does it mean something more, right? A person knows what's about to go down. It's not like you're saying yes and then you're going to figure it out along the way. Consent isn't just no means no. It's asking every time, every step of the way. You're dancing with someone and you're thinking about maybe moving your hands, and sometimes people are like, oh, I'll move my hand and I'm going to see if they're going to say something, or I'll see if they move my hand back. No, don't play this guessing game with your partner. Ask before you do it, because that makes things really tricky in the moment. It puts that pressure on someone. Well, do I tell them no, or do I move their hand, or what do I do now? They just did this without asking me. So check in with that person before you do anything. A lot of times people say, asking for permission every time, every step of the way, doesn't that like ruin the mood? But I'm here to tell you it doesn't ruin the mood. If anything, it makes the mood better, because you and your partner are on the same page. You have that open line of communication that you told me is healthy, right? That's a green flag. So having that open line of communication and checking in with that person, that's what makes the mood better, and that's what we're here to talk about. Promposals. Pressure could start even with the question of, do you want to go to prom with me? Or who are you going to prom with? We see videos like on TikTok, on YouTube, of these like extravagant things, right? People promposing in a big crowd. Think about the pressure that puts on the person though. Oh, I have to say yes. If I say no, I'm going to look like a jerk, right? I can't say no to this person right now. People are videotaping this. Think. Making sure that that person doesn't feel pressured if you're asking them, right? Consent has to be freely given in every situation. It's not just these intimate or sexual activities with a partner. It's in every single situation, every step of the night. It's key before, during, and after prom. You know, checking in. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable tonight. I want to make sure you have a good time. So if anything changes, let me know. Maybe develop a signal with that person. Let me know if you need space. Let me know if you need to step out, right? Asking, do you mind if I lean in closer when we talk? I'm having trouble hearing, before you enter into someone's personal space, because that can feel invasive. Asking for permission for pictures. Do you mind if we take a picture together? Can I place my hand around your waist? Can I place my hand around your shoulder? Can we hug each other for this picture? Right? So checking in and asking for permission from that person, making sure they feel safe and comfortable throughout the whole night. Dancing too, right? Dancing, hey, do you want to dance with me? Hey, do you want to step outside and grab some air? But just having that open line of communication and practicing that throughout the whole night. Does anybody have questions about these examples? Okay. A little reminder, Legal consent is sober consent. So you remember I said consent is active, voluntary, enthusiastic, and sober. Sober. As soon as someone engages in a substance, legally, they cannot consent to any sexual or intimate activity with a partner. I'm here to tell you about what the law says. A lot of times students ask me, well, what if both people were drunk? What if both people were high? But what I'm here to tell you is, if there's ever a situation where two people are engaged in a substance and then something happens, and that next morning the person wakes up and one person's like, yo, what? Like, that was not okay. That person deserves support, and I'm gonna support them. Just because you're drunk or you're high, that's not a write-off for your actions. If you're under the influence and you get behind the wheel of a car, and you cause an accident and you hurt someone, do you get out of the car and say, well, I was drunk, so, or are you held responsible for that accident? You are still held responsible for your actions when you're under the influence of a substance. That includes assault. So just because you're under the influence too, that doesn't mean, oh, whatever, we were both drunk, we were both high. You're still responsible for your actions, especially if you cause harm to another person while you're under the influence. So I want you to just take that away. If there's one thing you take away from the end of that presentation, I want you to hold on to that. You're still responsible for your actions even when you are under the influence of a substance, regardless of how old you are. Intervene. If you are at school, at prom, at after prom, even just at a friend's house, right? I want you to step in if you see something that's not okay. So many times we have people like my picture at the top right. I'm sure somebody else will say something. Other people are seeing this. Like I could see other people are looking, so somebody's gonna say something. Does something get said in those situations? Most of the time, no. If you see something that's not okay, you have that gut feeling, listen to your gut. Be the one to step in, intervene. Hey, they said that they're not comfortable. Knock it off, back off. Or distract. Hey, I just noticed that the bathroom opened up. Can you come with me quick? Get that person away from the situation where they might be feeling uncomfortable or that person is pushing boundaries, right? So there are ways that you can get involved. If you don't feel safe getting involved, we're not just talking about two people having an interaction where like one person's pushing past boundaries, but like even if you feel tension, maybe somebody's about to fight someone, like there are words being exchanged, and you don't feel comfortable physically intervening, get help. You have teachers that care about you, that want you to have fun and want you to be safe. So talk with a teacher or a chaperone. If you're at an event where there aren't teachers or chaperones, get in touch with an adult. So if there's an adult at that house, go get the adult involved or call your adult. Hey, this is what's going on. What can I do? Can you come help? If there are situations like medical situations where somebody doesn't seem okay, call 911. Get that person help. That person's safety is put above all else. That person's safety is my priority, teacher's priority, adults, police, firefighter, EMS. That person being safe is the most important thing throughout the night. So always know if you have that gut feeling like, I don't know, is this person okay? Maybe this person had too much to drink, or I don't know what this person is on. Make that call. Get involved and help that person in that situation. You could even say, I'm gonna call someone for help. Who do you want me to call? Because I'm gonna call someone, right? Be an ally. I have other ways that you can intervene too with this QR code. Well, prom should be memorable, but above all else, like I said, I want you to have fun, I want you to be safe. This is the QR code. You could scan it, different ways that you can intervene. Know that at any point, people are always here to listen to you, support you, and believe you. Sorry, you guys are probably scanning the QR code, so I'm in the way. I have stickers up here for you. I have wristbands. Inside of my wristband, there is our hotline number if you have questions or you need help. And I have brochures and my business cards. Come on up, help yourselves to whatever, and I'm here to answer questions as you walk through.
Okay, guys, you may recognize our next speaker, Mr. Anderson, as the basketball coach here, correct?
Yeah,
Right?
for now.
Yeah, for now. He's going to talk to you a little bit about the impact of substance misuse. Okay, I'm going to let him give you his story. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you. All right. First thing I'll ask is you guys move down. This will be a little more intimate. I know you guys want to sit there, but come down a little bit. Let's go. All right, you guys good? Next thing is cell phones. Try and pay attention a little bit if you can. All right. So, as stated, right, basketball coach, okay, and affiliation with Jonathan Law outside of being a basketball coach is what? Do I do anything else at Law? Correct. It's not my day job. All right. So I'm not here speaking to you as a counselor, as a staff member, right? Just as someone else who's got some experience doing some stupid shit with drugs and alcohol, right? And how you guys can do some things a little better. Okay. I'm a graduate from Jonathan Law in 1990, right? Went to college after, played after. But I come back here because my, not affiliation, but affinity for this school and this community, okay? I'm deeply rooted here and have gone through a lot of the same stuff you guys do, and you will, all right? After I go through some things, we're gonna have a little Q&A, and you'll ask questions because you'll feel compelled to ask certain things, right? And I'll give you answers to the best of my ability to those questions. Let's start off by a couple things. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a licensed therapist. That's not why I'm here. I'm not the person that's going to come to you and say that you should never try anything or you're not going to do anything. I'm not going to do that to you guys. And I will not tell you that. All right? Things that you do now, right? They are illegal if you are. That's a fact. Okay? But I'm not here to preach to you guys about how shitty alcohol and drugs are. I'm not, because you guys know they are. I come from a much different angle, okay? My job's not to tell you how stupid it is, because you know. My job's to tell you that experiences I've gone through, right? Luckily, coming out on this side and being fairly successful. What I say by successful is not money, it's not my job, but I'm alive for one, from some of the stories we'll talk about and some of the shit I went through that you don't see and you don't know. But having a good family, right? Having the respect of my family, the love of my family, having great kids and so forth, but then also being involved in this community, right? And being involved with all you guys. So that stuff might never have been here if things turned differently and someone else, all right? Which is how we're going to conclude this at the end, how someone else picked me apart, told me what I was doing wrong, and forced me to go in somewhere, all right? So questions get asked a lot about addiction. Questions get asked about substance abuse. How do you know you have a problem, right? How do you know that you have an issue? How do you know you have to stop? A lot of times you don't. And I hope that none of you are in the situation I was or ever get to where I was, okay? Because at your age, where you guys are, I was way deeper than most of you guys, I think, right now, which start off as a freshman or sophomore here, all right? So hopefully you guys are not in that space. But if you are, most likely it's going to take the person next to you or someone close to you to make you aware. All right? Most of us are not self-aware with our addictive personalities or our addictive background, right? To realize we have an issue. It comes in a lot of different areas. Some great questions have been asked today in multiple groups. You guys will probably ask some great questions as well. One of them was, how did you know you were an addict? Great question, right? I think it brings itself or manifests itself in different ways. For me, it was finally realizing that whatever I was doing at the time, whether it was drugs or alcohol, that I was relying on them on a more frequent basis. So I realized that, but I was still getting along. Going to class, right? Playing basketball, things I thought were okay, right? But at the end of the day, it probably hindered my advancement in both those areas, all right? I was intelligent enough to get by in school, right? Without trying a lot. I was very good on the court, which we'll get into this after, just from the physical piece. I was different than most people where I could handle a lot more stress to my body and still function adequately and above, okay? So before we get into a lot of that stuff, any questions first? Because I could sit up here and speak all day. It's going to be a lot more beneficial if you guys are interactive. And I am, as you see already, transparent and wide open. So you can ask me anything you want. Yes? I'm going to come up a little. I'm going to come back here a little, right? Sorry. When I was. Yeah. Yeah, so that's part of the first question. Was there a second part to that one? Which I'll get to that. Okay. So when I was using, did I know I was addicted? Let's back up first and go through the stuff I did, right? What the stuff I used and how that started. Okay. So I'm not up here to tell you that, you know, I did more drugs than someone else or I drank more than someone else, right? But I had a highly addictive, right, self-gratifying quality to myself, coupled with competitiveness, right? So wanting to win in everything I did fueled a lot of that and fueled that addiction even further. For me, it started off experimenting, which is very, very scary. So at 9 or 10, experimenting with things you find in the liquor cabinet in your home, right? And for me, a major negative aspect of that was I didn't mind the taste that much. So I was competitive, addictive personality, so I tried more and more, right? And I pushed the envelope. I tried different things to see what I liked or what I didn't like because I was not just curious, and it wasn't just about a feeling, but it was like, hey, let me see what else I can get into, right? So some would say I probably knew at an early age that there was an addictive part of my personality, but until it got to the point where I was doing it frequently and other people were noticing and other people were telling me, right? So even at a young age, I knew it was there, but still trying to hide that and be very cunning. But yeah, at an early age, definitely in high school, for sure. What other questions? Don't feel like you're on stage. I'm up here on stage, right? It's pretty easy. So anything you want. Otherwise, I'll start bringing in some more stuff. Yes? Great question. Did you have people help you stop? I fully believe that if I didn't, this story I'm going to give you, right, which will be funny to you in aspects, but life-changing for me, and I credit this person with probably saving my life. If I didn't have this and I had somebody push me in that direction, there's no doubt in my mind that I would have died probably shortly after. So I've had multiple scenarios where I've had some serious things go on through drugs and alcohol, right? Whether it's with vehicles, others, or bad situations. My junior year of college, we're out drinking one night at a bar. I went to school at the University of Buffalo. So freezing cold, snows from Halloween to April 1st every day. So it's not an exaggeration. October 30th for Halloween to April 1st. You get a dusting or heavy snow every day for that period of time. So there's always snow on the ground because it's freezing. So we're driving back from drinking at a bar one night. We get a flat tire in the car. We're sitting outside in the back parking lot of our gymnasium. Police officers come, and obviously the three of us are hammered, right? So who was driving the vehicle? I have the keys in my pocket just from grabbing the tire out of the back of the car. Now, mind you, yes, I was driving, but I think no one knows that. So in the state of New York where I was, they said, you have the keys, you were driving. So here's your DWI, right? So that night I'm sitting in jail, okay? I get up in the morning, I get out, call my assistant coach. Now, I graduate from school here, I go to a year of prep school, I'm in school for 2 years in college, I transfer out, I sit out a year. I'm 2 years older than everybody in my grade because of the course I've taken, right? So I'm hanging out with my assistant coaches. I'm hanging out with all these people that are my age, that are of age to drink. That's my little network and my clique of people, okay? So now I call my assistant coach and said, hey, listen, I got an issue. What's going on? I said, we got pinched last night, I got a DWI. He's like, let's go talk to coach. I'm thinking, holy shit, I have to go talk to my head coach. I go to school for free, I play basketball, this is gonna fuck everything up. So I'm sitting down in my coach's office, who is a very eccentric, eclectic guy. This is a guy who I respected but didn't know full well all of his background, right, and what he was involved in. He was a military guy, pretty hard-nosed, coached at a high level, Boston College, other universities. I look on his wall, and it's the first time really that I invested the time in his office to really look what was going on. He's got pictures up there, right, from Lyndon Johnson, as you know from history, who was a president of the United States. But hey, thank you for your service in the U.S. Navy. Ted Williams from the Red Sox. Hey, can't wait to see you at the next dinner. This guy's got all this stuff there. So I respected him, but still didn't know a lot about him. So he says to me, so what's up? And I said, well, I got a DWI last night. There was no way for me to say that other than just pull the Band-Aid off, right? He looks at me and he goes, that's it? And I'm thinking, holy shit, this is great. Like, this is cool. Like, he gets it. It's going to be, we'll take care of this. Water under the bridge, I'll just play. We'll take care of whatever court we have to do and everything else. So he says, all right. He goes, what's your track record in school? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, give me your history, right? I said, well, I went to this school. I got kicked out after a semester. Then I went to this school, and then I transferred in here. He goes, all right. He goes, so our background's really similar. And he goes over his with me. He stands up, comes from behind the desk, and tells me to stand up. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? He punches me square in the face. And at that point in time, I'm like, I could either beat up this older guy, or I can sit down and just shut up and pay attention. So I sat down. He goes and sits behind his desk, and he says, all right. He goes, you're going to kill yourself or someone else? Bottom line. He said, we see what you do, your peers, your players, everyone else sees what you do, right? And you haven't made an adjustment. You haven't been able to make a change. He says, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave here, right, in the next couple weeks when school's over. You're going to go to rehab. If you go to rehab, right, sufficient enough to our liking, which we'll check in every single day, you can come back here and have your scholarship back here to play basketball, but you're not going to be a captain. I was a captain the year prior. He goes, or you can not go to rehab, you can come back to school, you can pay for school, and you can try out for the basketball team. What do you want to do? So I was motivated by that athletic portion of it, right? And by going to school for free, and by going to a top 50 academic school in the country. So that was my motivation, which down the line ends up being somewhat of a deterrent because I wasn't doing it for myself, right? So we talk about the addiction piece. I was doing that to appease others and selfishly for a different part of the game, okay? So that's my background going into that. So to your point, I needed somebody to force me along that path. I knew I had an issue. I knew I had an issue when I was a sophomore in high school here with 2 pints of Jack Daniels at a ring dance. That's a problem. So he pushed me in that direction, even though it's forceful, but he got me there. So I credit that guy to this day with saving my life because it would have been worse. So that's why I stress to you guys, whether you are just friends with somebody, whether it's family, someone else, go directly to that person. You are going to affect your relationship, though. You got to be willing to do that for someone else. What other questions you got? Yeah. No. So along the way, did anybody try and talk to me before my coach did that, right, to get me to stop? Yes. My parents, for one, but they're not with me 7 hours away at school, right? They can't see it. So they had others outside of the group I was with. So I had 2 cliques. So for all of you here, right, whatever race, color, religion, gender, wherever you guys all have little cliques. This whole community, I think, at school here, right, is pretty good with each other, which is what I love seeing. But you guys all have your own little groups, right? And that stuff you'll see morphs differently when substance comes into play. You're going to push aside people that are healthy for you to look for people that are like-minded as you are. Just as though if you're an academic, you're going to gravitate towards people that are in the same place as you, right? That want to study, that want to get better. It all brings in a competitive nature. But on my basketball team at that time, right, again, all smart guys. I've got a guy from Africa, a guy from California, a guy from New York City, a guy from Ohio, a guy from Amman, Jordan, a guy from France, me from Connecticut, guy from Indiana. I mean, we're all from different places. There were, I think, 2 guys out of 14 or 13 guys from one state. Everyone else is from everywhere. So I gravitated away from those guys that were healthy to people I knew on campus or friends that I befriended that were in that same space I was, right? We had a question in the last group about other addictions for athletes I played with and guys there. Yeah, this guy from Texas, I used to shoot him with steroids every single week. He was addicted to steroids, right? And that was back in that day. So it comes in all different forms, but none of those guys, because I choose not to hang around and be around them, they didn't see it as frequently as others did. I would still show up 5:45 in the morning after working at a bar till 4:30, show up and I would practice at 5:45, and physiologically, I was built different, right? So I needed less to do more. So it was a gift and a curse in that regard. But your friend group will change for sure, and it's one telltale sign of people around you that are going the wrong way. So, what else? Yeah.
How long did you have to rehab for?
So that rehab was in the summer. It was for 3 months. And second person that I credit with advancing my life in a healthy way is a guy named Gary Lindgren, who is the lead counselor at Amity High School, where I speak every year. He's the first person I met on the doorstep of that rehabilitation center when I got there. But yeah, 3 months, and it was pretty intense. It's kind of where you walk into rehab and they go through all your bags and you can't bring any cologne because there's alcohol in it. You can't bring mouthwash because there's alcohol in it. So that's where I was. It's no longer there. It's now houses.
Was that your only rehab?
Only rehab, yes, but multiple years of therapy, right? So here's one thing I stress to everybody. We talked about it before. Again, race, gender, creed, affluence, it doesn't matter. As an individual, it's important for you to find an outlet, whether it's a close friend or a confidant you have, but that person's not going to be licensed like I am not. But find out what makes you tick as an individual, right? You don't have to have any problems. You can be a perfect human. It's very beneficial to go talk to somebody else. It is. So I did constant therapy. So when I went back to school that senior year, right, the secondary piece to me coming back and getting a scholarship and playing was I needed to step foot into a meeting every day. Sounds easy, but every day for a year, except for Christmas, I walked into an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, right, which is timing, but it's a grind. None of you guys are in that space, and I hope you never will get there, right? But working the program is a little different. It's pretty intense. So it's like more responsibility on top of you trying to get healthy, right? So I would walk into a meeting, and there'd be an assistant coach at the doorway. I'd walk in, he'd stand there and wait, and a different one would stand there when I came out every day. So I was lucky enough to have people that cared about me, right? I used to think when I was younger, hey, listen, maybe it's because you scored a lot of points, right? And we're winning games, right? And that's where they were vested, but it wasn't. Those guys saved my life because they cared about my well-being, which is what you have to do to your others in the community. It's going to happen to people that you'll see. We talked about everything you guys do now, right? It's all illegal, right? But we talk about me back in the day, whether it's drinking, right? At school here, yeah, we have a bunch of people that we all smoked weed. We had a couple people that probably snorted coke, and that was it. We didn't have what you guys have. I will tell you, the issue with all that now is the first second you take a puff, the first snort, anything you do, you can die first time because we didn't have fentanyl, you do. Right? So that's the negative portion of it, and that's the mortality piece of it, right? It's stupid anyway. I don't tell you that because you guys know it. But that's the issues you guys have more so than where we did. All right? But therapy is consistent. It's not just a shoulder to cry on, right? It's for you to get shit off your chest, and it can be with someone you don't even know. It's a phone number you call, staff here if you want it, people that can be, it's anonymous, but you got to figure out what makes you go. What else? No. So great question. Once I went through rehab, was I done with alcohol? That was my junior year of college. Go back my senior year. Now, meetings every day, playing my senior year, Division I basketball, and not drinking at all. I had drank my entire career. If you remember, I started here as a sophomore. I started sneaking booze at my dad's liquor cabinet at 9 years old. So I drank here. When I was in college, I would drink before games. So this is a little different, right? Where this is the levels we're talking about where you guys will please never get, okay? But I went to rehab as a junior. I went 4 years, almost 6 years, 5 or 6 years without. I was finished up my career there, playing basketball here and overseas professionally. When I came back, and before I got married, my wife, my future wife, I said, hey, listen, I was crazy in college. I was crazy in high school. I'm mature now. I think things are okay. Started drinking again. I was back out there for 3 years or so. Then, right? Holy shit. 22 years this Friday. So I'll have 22 years clean this Friday. So March 28th, 2003, I'm playing golf with some buddies. We're drinking during the day at the golf course. I go out of the parking lot and I go from here to the doors, 50 feet, 40 feet. I hit a tree head on, lacerate my kidney, I'm pissing blood for 2 days. My wife says, hey, listen, we're done, right? My daughter is 7 months old, she's 22 now, which God bless my kids, they've never seen me drink ever. But, so that second was the first time that I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna lose everything. I'm gonna lose my wife, I'm gonna lose my daughter who's 7 months. So that was one thing that finally, out of all the shit I did in my life, the one thing where I was thinking of not my mortality, but losing something that was more important than me, that's the one thing that scared me the most, and that was the final time that I drank or did any drugs. But I had known all along those issues I had and what led up to them. Okay, one of the best questions I've ever been asked was let's see, I've been here, I've been the gym, I've been the calf, TLC. Someone asked, what do people not, and this is a question I'll never forget, what characteristic, trait, or thing that you can remember is something that people don't talk about much, which drove your addiction, which is really cool. For me, it made me take a really strong look at my self-awareness, right, and where I was. We talk about you recognizing someone else, right, that's got an issue. You recognizing someone else that's got a problem, you got to talk to them. When I look at where I was, and this can fit a lot of you, and this is where we kind of come together, okay? Your addictive personality, which what I have, but your competitiveness, your drive, all that people pound into you, right? You should be driven in the classroom, driven on the court, driven with your relationships, driven with family, right? Be competitive. That for me, that had an addictive personality, was combustive for me. So when I started getting into substance, and I was competitive, I was driven, right? I was motivated. I wanted to be better. So the second I started drinking, the second I started smoking weed, snorting coke, the second I started doing all this stuff, I want to be better than you, better than you, better than you. And that pushed me because of my drive. So that's something that this girl asked, which was an incredible question. That's something I wish I was aware of. And that takes a really, really hard look at yourself to be that self-aware. Like, hey, listen, I'm going to compete in the classroom. I'm going to compete in the community with my philanthropic endeavors, with my relationships, with my sports. But I got to be careful when it comes to substance and other things I do, right? I'm not competing. So that's one thing that I never looked at, and my background and my personality drove me in that place to be really, really good. The point was, I was so good, I was terrible at it. And it forced me into a lot of difficult situations and a lot of problems. But be self-aware. How much time we got? All right. Any more questions? Good question, Cam. Yeah. So the only way you're going to help them stop is by making it known that you think that there's something going on, they have an issue. But again, you have to listen. There's guys in this room that played for me, right? That I'm close with. I don't preach about this at all. People are going to fuck up, and you're going to do stupid things. You are. But how do you come out on the other end, right? On the backside? That part is one thing that's really hard for everyone. If it was, think of the closest person in your life. If it's a brother, sister, friend, whoever. Can you sit down across from that person or put your arm around and say, listen, we got to talk. Like you got some shit going on, like we need to get some help. Whether it's talk to somebody, mental health piece is a big aspect, right? People have to talk to someone. So if you have the ability and think you can do that, that's the only thing you're going to be able to do. And then be supportive. That's it. You can't push anybody. When I first stopped, back to Cam's question, when I first went to rehab, right? When I went back out there and drank again after, a lot of me thinks it's because I did it for other people. I was forced into it. Like I was told by my coach, listen, you can't come back here and get a scholarship and play unless you go to rehab. That's forceful. I didn't necessarily want to go do it on my own, to say, you know what, let me just check this box and I'll go play and then shit will happen. Then I'll be gone in a year, I'll be out of the program and I can go fool somebody else, right? So making sure that you get in front of someone else and tell them that they have an issue. It takes some tact how to do that. You can't just say, listen, you're screwed up, right? It's, hey, listen, we got to talk. Yeah. I thought I was getting donations. So, what other? What time's the bell? You guys don't know what time? Another question. Anything? Are we done after this? Oh. Okay. All right. That's it? Yes. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. Yeah. Yeah, you know, good question. Did my addiction influence how I raised my daughter? So when my kids were old enough, I told them point blank that they were gonna, it was okay, right? If they experimented in things, I said, every person's different, right? So for me, I was not one that ever said, hey, listen, you can't do this, right? I gave them the tools to understand that there's some bad things or repercussions that can come from it. But I just parented from things I learned that other people brought to light with my addiction, right? So I never said, no, you couldn't. Like I started this, that's not my job, right? It'd be awesome if none of you guys ever did, right? But there are certain people, okay, that can handle certain things that others can't. My wife, for instance, right, will have a glass of wine and is fine. And then she's done for dinner. I would have a bottle and a half or 2 bottles. So everyone's different, right? But my kids grew up, and my son, when he was really little, was like, no, I'm never going to drink. He's had some fun nights, right? Which we have those conversations about, and about what levels you get to, okay? So I did not parent differently at all based on, I would say based on my addiction. It was same stuff you guys go through, hopefully with your parents or others, that you have those conversations. If you screw up, how do you get better, right? And how do you do things differently so it doesn't happen next time, right? And when I grew up, my dad used to tell me all the time, every decision you make, whether you're out with your friends, right? There's all the stories. You're sitting in a car and you're driving, you pull into a gas station, your buddy gets out, right? Your buddy grabs a pack of gum, comes in the car, and gets arrested for shoplifting, and you're with him. Your name will always be synonymous with that person and that incident, right? Or if you go out and you do something, and there's a right and a wrong, okay? Are you comfortable, right? This is how hard my dad used to go at it. Super intelligent, 3 degrees, was a teacher, professor. He said to me, Larry, well, every decision you make, if you were sitting on the stand in a courtroom and the judge said, did you or didn't you? It's a yes or a no. So it seems easy, but it's not. Like we started, right? You guys all went through something coming in here as freshmen 3.5 years ago. You're going to go through the same shit next year. Same thing. You're just older and a little bigger. You're going to start trying to fit in. You're going to find new friends. You're going to try and get your footing academically. You might be working, you might be working and not going to school, right? But the same stuff's going to happen next year that happened when you guys were freshmen here. You're not all going to school together. Whether it's UConn, whether it's Kansas, whether it's Cal, you're not all going together. You're going to try and find the same groups that you're accustomed to or comfortable with and all those people. So you're going to have the same things that present themselves to you. How do you deal with those when it happens? Right? You've learned enough the last few years as to how to do that and how to deal with those things. So going into next year, you're equipped to do that. You're just older and bigger. Right?